Hello and welcome to the Post-Up Show. I'm Cyrus, that's Kaunda. Thank you for joining us. We have enjoyed bringing this show to you every week. This is one of those episodes that is, it's going to be a great one. Kay, it's good to have you on board. But before we get started, I think let's also talk about the remembrance of Kobe Bryant. It's been a year since he's gone, and it's we're playing our tribute in the best way we can and wearing some Kobe jerseys. Kaunda, I know he's meant a lot to you over the years. It's just one of those surreal things. We were like, okay, fine. I guess, we live in a post-Kobe world. It's crazy.
Yeah, Cyrus. I mean, he's just one of those people that, because of his status and what he did for a game that you love and a league that you really follow, you all automatically expect him to outlive you. You understand? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, tragedy strikes like it did a year ago this week. And it was so unfortunate. My heart goes out to the family still, his daughter Gigi and the rest of the passengers on that helicopter. It was a terror. I mean, I remember the 26th, Cyrus. It was a terrible day, 26th of Jan and 2020. You and I were being called on the phone, being asked to go to studio appearances. It was just
it was crazy.
But here we are.
And I think the best way to celebrate the Mamba is to talk about the game that he loved. And that's why we're going to get straight into our episode this week, this particular episode. And this one is really about whether or not the big man is back. Because right now, it looks like the big man is back. Now, I get so excited because here in South Africa, I might be classified as a big guy. Nowhere close to the big guys in the NBA standard. But, we're getting to see the post moves again and the modern big man doing his thing. Kay, I know that we love watching how these guys play, and especially, like modern centers, some of them undersized, undersized for NBA height, like Al Horford, but are still able to do incredible things. Let's go straight into the ones who have really stood out. And one of them in particular is Domantas Sabonis from the Indiana Pacers. Now, he's one who has just sort of risen from the ashes. And I don't necessarily want to call his career ashes before, he's gotten to where he is now. But he's averaging 20.4 points a game, 12.4 rebounds a game, 5.6 assists a game. His game has been incredible, Kay. Do you think this is what the prototypical big man in the NBA is? Is he Sabonis?
Look, Cyrus, I think he is one of, because the big man in the NBA has changed, Cyrus. Back in the days when we were watching David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, we were watching Manute Bol, Dikembe, all the greats, Shaquille O'Neal, they played with their back to the rim a lot. Back to the hoop. So they were just waiting for dishes, or they'll be backing their opponent down, or they'll be waiting to be dished to, and they'll either hit a hook or go up for a layup or dunk. And basically, they never got to face the cheering fans behind them, or the booing fans from the opposing team behind them. It was all like, okay, what's going on behind me? But times have changed. The recent big man shoots from range. The recent big man has got a decent mid-range. The recent big man is an all-rounder, because Cyrus, now we're watching basketball in what has been termed the positionless basketball era, and that's giving the big man more to do than what they did before. But what's impressive is, I think the big man has also realized that you can't just get rid of all the old traits, because they work. And if used properly, they work. And that's what I saw in a recent game with Domantas Sabonis, in which he was showing very impressive post moves. And I was like, yo, those talk to the 90s era. I like what Sabonis is doing there.
And that's the thing with Sabonis, is that his all-around game is pretty good. When you look at the way he plays, I think he's also won a Player of the Week award. He's been so impressive because he's used his body well. When he needs to use his strength, he does that, and he's a really strong guy. But he's also got such a soft touch around the rim as well. And he's not necessarily known for dropping daggers from three-point range, but he can do it, and he does when needed. But I think that when you look at what he adds to that team, is the dynamism from the center position. And some people have said, look, could he play in the same team as Miles Turner, who traditionally plays the center, where Sabonis then plays a sort of bigger power forward. And you realize that it's his mobility that's got him into the positions that he needs to be. So he dominates the boards on occasion and then gets a lot of scoring opportunities that way. And then also makes sure that his team gets possession. So Sabonis really is your sort of almost prototypical what you'd have as a big man center from back in the day, but using some of the current skills and the current skill set. But if we're talking about modern NBA centers, you don't get better from another European center than Nikola Jokic, who has just been phenomenal. Some might say he might be the front runner in the MVP discussions at the moment. And for a center to be averaging almost a triple-double, you can see why people might be saying that. 25.4 points a game, 11.9 rebounds a game, 9.3 assists a game. Nikola Jokic has got to be one of the most impressive centers the NBA is currently seeing and has seen in all time, because I think when you look from the passing perspective, he's just phenomenal. Being able to find his teammates, they run pretty much every play through him. And as a complete throwback, he's also the guy who tends to have the ball in his hands at the end of games as well. Reminds me a bit of how Hakeem used to do that back in the day. But Jokic really is one of those where if you need somebody to hit a step back mid-range, he can do that. If you want somebody to give you a three-point shot late in the game, he can do that too. He's got ice in his veins. He's got the ability to really back people down in the post. It's not necessarily his best part of his game, but he's just so mobile as well. And he doesn't seem it because he seems so unathletic. Everybody keeps talking about the fact that, he looks like he could have been a dock worker in the 40s, just eating steaks, drinking beer, and picking up heavy stuff.
Cyrus, they might call him the Joker, but on that hardwood, he does not joke. Cyrus,
he does not at all.
Nikola Jokic, as one of the big men in the league at the moment, I think is right up there. He should be in the MVP discussion. I mean, let's just take it a little bit back to last season, the postseason. Him and Jamal Murray, that 1-2 punch, that was integral in taking the Denver Nuggets to winning two back-to-back games where they were 3-1 down. Cyrus, in the postseason. Cyrus, a 7-game series, they came back, and Nikola Jokic was a big part of that. Cyrus, he's scoring, he is defending, he's rebounding, he is assisting. A guy that size, you don't expect him to be getting that high numbers in assists, but he's managing that. Why? Because they trust him enough. Coach Donovan trusts him enough to play a lot of, to make a lot of plays go through him.
Coach Malone.
I mean, Coach Malone. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know why I had Billy Donovan on my mind, but we'll get to that later.
How he goes.
But Cyrus, have you seen the three-point shot? Even the mid-range shot on that man. It's like he's aiming for the lights, but somehow it just comes
drops.
short.
And
you can't. It's almost impossible to defend a Nikola Jokic shot when he hits it just right. You can be as tall as a Dwight Howard's, all the big guys. Okay, maybe not Shaq, but you can be a decent sized center. You can even be an Anthony Davis, and he will shoot over you comfortably because he's mastered that like gentle stroke, and it's kind of like he's just playing around. It's like he's in the park somewhere, and he's just let me try this out.
They talk about him looking like he's playing horse. He's just taking random shots from anywhere, and he's making them.
And Cyrus, I think that perception that he's not athletic because of the shape of his body, I think that's what gets a lot of people, done in by him, because you're like, no, this guy can't outrun me. Oh, this guy can't outmaneuver me. And then you just check his footwork, and before you know it, he's scoring right in front of your face. And he's got that poker face as well, where maybe
that's exactly it.
Joker.
That's exactly it.
The poker Joker.
Oh my God!
Because I've just seen him really celebrating, Cyrus. Like, he hits a big shot, and you just look at his face, and he's like,
"Oh, even get that upset." He's just basically playing this game, and it's like, "Hey, look, this is my job." And I think we're all the better for it, because a good Nikola Jokic is good for the NBA. And speaking of Nikola Jokic and a center who's good for the NBA, we got to big up one of our African brothers, Cameroonian superstar Joel Embiid, who doesn't have the assist numbers that Jokic does, but he has been no less impressive than Jokic. 27.7 points a game, 11.5 rebounds a game, 2.7 assists a game. He's just been phenomenal. And, he might call himself Troll Embiid because he's a troll on them social media streets. But when he's on the court, he'll also troll you. He'll go out there and he'll do what he needs to do. He's got a great looking 3-point shot. And when he's healthy, that's always been the thing with Embiid, is that his health can always be a problem for him. But when he's healthy, he's almost unstoppable. And what I love about him is that he can play a crazy face-up game as well. Look, he's not like Giannis with the ball in terms of how big guys have been, but he can handle it a little bit. It's just that he's taking great 3-pointers. He's got a good mid-range. His free throw shooting is also fairly good. And, he's just one of those where if he wants to back you down, he will do it. And he'll do it with impunity. You are just a puny human to Troll Embiid.
Cyrus, you know what's more beautiful than the fact that he is Cameroonian is the fact that we saw this guy at Basketball Without Borders Africa. And he's a Basketball Without Borders alum, much like Gogi Jang, much like Luke Bamute. So when we look at him, having seen his growth, Cyrus, it is so impressive. And I've been watching his game for a number of years, and why basically he's a walking double-double, and why his assist numbers are so low, Cyrus. I worked it out. It's because you want most of the time the final play to be on the ball to be in Joel's hand when you make that final pass, because either he would have worked himself into a great position at the 3-point line, or he would be at a great place in the paint where he can dunk or lay up, or maybe he might be somewhere near the free throw line where he can make a nice mid-range. So most of the plays that they draw up, make sure the last pass goes to Joel Embiid. That's why you won't find him really assisting much. And I think that works for the team, because 9 times out of 10, he makes the shot. And he's a great shooter. He's a great dunker. His presence in the paint, I mean, he's got up with some of the best big men in the league, and won matchups between them. I mean, we do remember one interesting one with Karl Anthony Towns, but we won't get into that one because that was pretty interesting. Because it ended up with them hugging or something. But look, Joel Embiid,
a love story.
He's a walking double-double, and I think I'm really impressed. I mean, I've heard him already mentioned in the MVP discussion, much like Nikola Jokic. So, Cyrus, we might have a big man MVP. I mean, I know we'd say the same about Giannis Antetokounmpo, but this is a different kind of big man.
We're talking about centers here. We're not talking about.
Talking about centers.
Those mobile forwards who do crazy things because of their athleticism. But I agree with you about Joel Embiid, and I think that when you look at him being part of that conversation, you can see why people will be talking about that. Now, one center who has impressed, and I think primarily for us, not just because he's African in his heritage, but because his performances have been really good, has been Clint Capela, because he has been one of the real shining lights at the Atlanta Hawks in the last few weeks. And where you got like he got a triple-double in one of the games, and then he goes and gets a 20-point, 20-rebound double-double in another. You just know Clint Capela is doing really, really impressive things. He's averaging 14.2 points a game and 14.5 rebounds a game. I mean, you and I know that we really love players who can contribute on multiple ends of the court. So double-doubles for us really make a big difference. Now, Capela is probably not the guy you want shooting the last shot for you, because his 3-point shooting numbers, let's not even go there. But let's leave those alone. That's not what his game's about. And I know that, when we look at Capela, we always say this guy can be part of a really good winning team if they utilize him effectively.
Absolutely, Cyrus. I mean, first of all, let me claim him once more. This is an NBA Africa game alum. He was in Africa for the 2018 NBA Africa game, and he performed well. Cyrus, Clint Capela, it was a pity he had left Houston, because he was doing pretty well in Houston as a rim protector, also as a scoring center. But I think Atlanta is a good place for him, Cyrus. It's working well there for him, with the young pieces around him, your John Collins, your Trae Youngs, and just looking at the performances he's putting up, it goes to show you that sometimes location, right? I mean, maybe Houston wasn't the right place for him. Maybe playing alongside the likes of James Harden wasn't the thing for him, but playing against an assisting as well as shooting point guard such as Trae Young, playing with, an assisting and shooting point guard such as Trae Young maybe works better for him. And that's why he's putting up the numbers that he's putting up. And Cyrus, he's still young. He's still young, and he still can get very, very much better than he's doing at the moment. But that's not to say he's impressive, because Cyrus, if you're putting up those kind of numbers early in the season, once those hinges get oiled and you're really loose midway through the season, Cyrus, he's going to be a problem. I'm loving his look, and I think, he definitely deserves a mention in this show right here.
No, I mean, when you look at big men, him, and there's going to be a couple of honorable mentions like the Rudy Goberts, who have been fantastic players. I think it's just that for us, especially when we make this list, we're looking at guys who have really sort of stood out for us particularly. And one other, I mean, we love Clint Capela, and we're actually going to round off our list with another player of African origin, and that is Bam Adebayo. Nigerian-American, he's averaging 20.7 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, and 5.4 assists. Now, the Heat haven't been at their very best, but he was one of the central figures in getting the Heat to the NBA Finals last season. And he's just improved even more from there. He's a Most Improved Player of the Year award winner. So, when you look at just how... I think he was a candidate. I don't actually remember if he won. I don't think he did win that. But the thing about Adebayo is that he really gives his all in all of these games, and he just seems to find different levels to rise to, whether it be on the defensive end, where he's going to try and guard some of the tougher people to guard, like a Kevin Durant, or if you look at him on the offensive end, where he just had a career night the other night, where he was absolutely scoring bucket upon bucket. You're just thinking, is there no limit to how much he can grow? And it's great to see. I mean, I know you're a big fan of Bam Adebayo as well.
Cyrus, Bam Adebayo proved himself in the Summer League. I remember many years ago you telling me about this young man called Bam Adebayo that you had watched in the Summer League, and he just looked impressive. Next thing we know, this young man is playing at the Heat. Cyrus, as a Laker fan, I'll admit it. If it wasn't for the fact that Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic got injured in the NBA Finals, that would have been a 7-game series, Cyrus. They were doing so well, and Bam Adebayo was contributing so much, both on the offensive and defensive side. This is a young player that's going to have, and I'll put it out there, potentially as much all-round game as Scottie Pippen. Mark my word, he could potentially have as much all-round game as Scottie Pippen. And Scottie had all-round game, right? He had the offense, he had the defense. I'm putting it out there. Bam Adebayo has not reached his ceiling, Cyrus. This is didn't he just have a 40-point game recently?
Yeah.
40-point game against who? The Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
And who are the Brooklyn Nets? They've got the likes of DeAndre Jordan. They've got the likes of Kevin Durant. I mean, they've got big guys there.
But look, having said that, I mean, Scottie Pippen, you're opening up a can of worms here. I don't necessarily know if Bam's got that offensive game, but in terms of being able to produce on both ends, he definitely has showed that he can. I don't see him having the kind of scoring touch that a Scottie did, and I think that's where I'm drawing the line. But he's
going to grow. He's going to go, Cyrus. Mark my words. You better save this episode in the archives, because when he comes up there, and Scottie starts congratulating him in that Scottie voice. You're like, congratulations. You guys say, we need to pull that episode out of the archive, because Kaunda did say that Bam Adebayo is going to have as much all-round game as Scottie Pippen. I know I'm reaching right now, but that's how much faith I have in the young man, Cyrus.
Wow.
First of all, we didn't expect the Heat to make it to the finals last season.
No, not at all.
And we didn't even expect Bam Adebayo to perform as well as he did in a postseason series, in all the postseason series. Whether it was against the Boston Celtics, whether it was against the Toronto Raptors, he was outstanding. So, Cyrus, I can't fault him right now. And I'm just saying, his all-round game is just going to get better, because he's proving that he can be a rim protector, he can be a great rebounder, and he can be a great scorer.
I see your arguments. I don't know if I'm going to agree with them being Scottie levels, but definitely he can. If he can...
One day.
Look, one day's one day, as they say here in South Africa. But thank you for that, Kaunda. We've come to the end of the episode. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, tell everybody about it, and also visit postupzone.com. From us, it's thank you for watching and enjoy the NBA.